The intro video is starting now. I can delete all this audio. All right, we're back after a long pause. I'm very, very happy today to have one of my favorite musicians in the history of music, from my opinion. His name is Raul Monsalve. He's a Venezuelan music visionary, again, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of many. He, in Venezuela, had, apart from many projects where he participated, he had a band called Cray. He also participated in concerts and as a session musician and touring musician for Nigerian saxophonist Orlando Julius, the Heliocentrics, also Orlando Poleo, members of the Fela Kuti Africa 70. He also has a band as well in Paris called Insolito Universo, which make a new interpretation of Venezuelan folklore. And he has a project called Monsalve and Los Forajidos, which is releasing a record today as we record this podcast. And I'm very excited about that because I've been waiting for that record for a while, and I'm very glad to have Raul Monsalve on the Leo Perez show. Hello, man. How are you today?
Hey, really exaggerated.
Like I always told to myself as my music career progressed, like remain a fan forever. Like don't lose this kind of like magic of music. And the best way to start this, to kick off this podcast, is the genesis stories of how I ever got to know about you or your music or something. For those who know about this, about what the meaning of the number 420 is, on a 420 in Caracas, I was driving around the city and we were inside a cloud of smoke in a car, driving somewhere, and when we came out and this slow motion cloud of smoke comes out and we entered to some club in Caracas, which I don't remember which one it was, and boom, Crea was playing there, and it was already playing when I arrived. I didn't know anything about it. I had never heard nothing, no Bandcamp, nothing. I didn't know nothing that this existed even, and I was absolutely shocked by this, and it really influenced me right on early. And then, eventually it happened this because of the Venezuelan diaspora that we all ended up spread out together, or like all over the world. It happened that in London I got to meet a lot of the people that I admired from Caracas scene, and that's where we got to meet. And eventually you ended in London there. So how is your music adventure going, and where are you at the moment of your life? How do you feel? How is it all going for you?
It's a big question. But the first question, which year was that gig that you saw?
2007, I guess. It was before I moved from Caracas to London. I moved to Caracas to London in 2008. I would guess it's 2007.
And was a trio or was a sextet?
It was a trio. You had the radio. You had the radio on the stage, either microphone or connected, and you were connected to an echo pedal, and you were just like psychedeling the hell out of that delay, like radio. It was a trio, Could have been 2006, but I'm pretty sure it was 2007.
Yeah, it was a trio, because that was the end,
Could have been, no, it cannot be 2008 because I left in March.
No, it's a 7 or 6. 7 probably.
And what a contrast what was happening in Venezuela back then and what is happening now. And I'm not even talking politically, I'm just musically. I mean, I think there was like some sort of, how do you call it when you put like a lot of bacteria and something grows in a petri dish? There was this very interesting. So back to where I started. Like, how was kind of your journey? From there to here, in a way. Like, how did it all went for you, and what's up?
Man, it is so so many years now.
We got time.
It's big. What you want to know exactly? With career or even before that, or let's choose one starting point.
We're having some beers, and somebody asked you, how did your music life started, kind of?
I mean,
let's split it by parts.
Yeah, because it's cool. Goes even before I know how to play an instrument.
Yeah.
Because I'm been obsessed with music since I'm 7 years or 8 years old, but not as an instrumentist. It's like as a music head.
Did your parents were musicians or something like that, or
no? That's all. That's the weird stuff. And nobody in my family.
It was inborn in you.
Yes, I know. My mom is really weird because we used to, one of the Saturday plans was to go to Recordland to buy vinyls, and it's weird because she's really like, how you say, conservative in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a quiet person, really discreet, quiet person.
Yep.
Well, she dig a lot of the, Soda Stereo and
Mm-hmm.
like the rock of the moment,
Yeah.
and like was MTV era, so
Yeah.
she bought a lot of those records, and like, and I can choose also the records I wanted, but at that moment as well, I started to, I always was fascinated by the punk,
Yeah.
fashion and everything. I was like, I was really small, and in my area
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of punk rockers, in the middle 80s.
Okay.
And I was like, man, what the fuck, the people with the
Were you
big
scared?
heads.
Were you scared about it or interested? Was it like intimidating for you?
Man,
It
it
was like,
was so fucking weird. Man, movies, how affect your mind. I
Yeah.
remember really clearly to say it to my grandmother, because I grew up with my grandmother as well, to say, oh yes, because I went all the time to the supermarket to buy, something
Mhm.
alone, really, really child, like, she let me like to
That's
do some
great.
stuff. So I went to, and there's always a guy with that, big, how you say, mohawk,
Yeah.
like 4 colors, and for me, it's not even the punk word. It was that he was a drug addict.
Because Venezuela is quite conservative in that sense. I mean, we don't have this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you see somebody, it's strange. It's like drogadicto, like drug addict.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember that I was like, oh man, it's so cool in some way, like, I was telling to my grandma, yeah, I saw a drug addict in the supermarket with a big hair and colors and everything, and yeah, and after that I started to to listen that kind of music as well, like metal and grindcore,
Yes.
hardcore punk, and that was the beginning, of my musical like obsession, I would say.
Was it clear for you? I mean, like an instrument became clear of you that you were more interested in an instrument at the beginning, or it just like what was the evolution of you ended up focusing on the bass guitar?
No, man. I mean, the story is weird because I don't know how I started. I had a band. Yeah, exactly. Man, this is fucking. I just remember this. I have a band called Eutanasia,
Excellent name.
and
Yeah.
I was the singer.
All right.
I'm talking about when I was 13 years old till 15 or 16, something like that. And the weird thing is, I'm always, and still now look younger than I am.
Yeah.
But at that moment, I was 13 and I looked younger than I
So
am.
you look like 10.
Exactly. And I used to sing like, Morbid Angels kind of stuff. Roar, roar, roar.
Yes.
And man, was all the metal heads, in Caracas, like yeah, they have 20s at the moment or something like that. Like, what the fuck is this? And we record a demo, and I actually remember that was in the radio, so in the
La Mega or
program,
yeah.
the programs that play, metal programs in the Sunday night, something like
Yeah.
that. So, and after that, the people, I was surrounded by instruments, and I started to, play like the bass, the guitar a little bit, and after, man, it's really a long story, man.
Yeah, man, we have time.
And after, the thing is, my father will be happy about that, but it is the truth. I asked every Christmas for for a bass or a guitar, because I switch each year. I switch. I want a guitar now. I want a bass. Oh, I want a guitar. And he was a little bit scared. I must say, probably
Because of the drogadictos? I mean, he was like...
of course,
oh,
and he is really like for him it's like rocks, drugs,
Of course.
everything, and it's true. It's some
point.
some way, yeah. But so he never give me the bass, never. So I the first time that I have a bass in my house, in my room, was because somebody lent me, because there was the gaitas in the school.
Let me make a pause. Let me make a pause here. So look, for a non-Venezuelan audience, in Caracas there is a phenomenon that happens every year, which is called the gaitas, which this is some sort of like neo-folklore fusion kind of. It sounds like timba a little bit, like Cuban timba, if you're going to try to aim towards what it sounds. And every school, there are these competitions, and every school kind of sets up a band. And then they compete in all this kind of like small music festivals. But for Venezuelan teenagers, this is like the prom for American teenagers, kind of. It's like a very meaningful thing where you either are going to meet some girls or boys, so you're interested in being there, or you're just going to feel like a rock star for a bit. So all of us, we have a saying in Venezuela, which is rockero que no baila muere virgen, which means like rocker that doesn't dance dies a virgin. So it doesn't matter what kind of music you were. I remember once sitting on the drum kit like playing. I was also in the punk rock heavy metal stuff, and I was like, okay, I have to play Latin music now so I can eventually get a girl or something like that. So let's do it. So back to this, I mean, what Raul is telling us is that he was a part of the gaitas, and so you eventually grab an instrument, a bass, just because you entered to the gaitas, or it was kind of like a chicken egg situation? They both happened.
Yeah, like I played already a little bit. So the people said, yes, we need a bass player. Go, Raul, take the bass.
Yeah.
So somebody give me the bass. Also a metalhead, I remember. And eventually I start to work. Yeah, and I bought my first bass. That's still my bass. It's the jazz bass. Yeah. 88 Japan, really, really nice. The white one.
Yeah.
I used to use with Cray and everything, but it's Solito Universo as well. It's my bass. So yeah, that's the story.
So we're in a moment kind of like after the gaitas, you're already in university, kind of, right? Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then there's something that I'm really interested in understanding as well in this conversation, which is that there seem to have been some people in Caracas who went really into the Latin psychedelia or into the development of contemporary Latin music, and there is other people. I'm in that group. I'm not in the other one. For example, in here I'm talking about Ernesto Marichales, and all that jazz. I mean, and Aldo Lamanatu, and the guys from Capé, things like that were kind of like making a fusion between Venezuelan music and contemporary music. And there were others, me in that group, which is something that I'm kind of sad about from my own biography, but that's how it happened, that we're more kind of like looking towards America and kind of, a bit more orienting themselves towards making some sort of Americanized music. What do you think that made you take that path of the Latin psychedelia? Was it something connected to your friends? I know that you're not like narrowed inside that path, but there's a difference.
That's all.
I really know that, but there are some people who carry this flow and this song, and they developed it across their lives, and there are some people who don't, and we're both from the same country and the same culture.
Of course.
Is it something that comes from your house? Is it something that came from your friends? Or is it something that came from maybe like a personal experience that took you there? It was just not a natural thing.
Man, we are the conditions that, surround us, I would say the thing is, I start to play with, this band, El Supremo Imaginario, which is a really psychedelic band with that name, the Supreme illusionary, mushroom. So that was my first gig band. We played, in Caracas, and it was a band that was playing already. And what I will say, I was already really interested in psychedelic 60s, 70s stuff, So me and Ruben, who was the guitar player of Cre, we were listening and friends. That period connects to the new album. Actually, we will see why.
Excellent. Excellent.
So we were like Ruben, Daniel, who is in the new album. Me, we were listening and dressing even really we dreamed like we were born in the we saw a Frank Zappa live concert in '68.
Yeah.
So we're really into that. Listening to rock, a little bit like Hennessy's and Jazz and King Crimson. I was, I'm still big fan of King Crimson and all that stuff. But suddenly, because I started to play in the Supremongo Imaginario, there was a sax player called Pablo Garcia who used to play there. And Pablo is like, how you would say, man? The seed, is that the word?
Like the Dark Lord?
Exactly.
Like the Dark Lord?
But not for me, even, for this, because he used to live in Paris in the 60s and in the 70s, actually. Okay. He lived like 8 years here, and he brought there all the free jazz stuff. He was really into Sunra. He used, he saw it live a couple of times. Art Ensemble of Chicago, all that kind of guys, and he brought that information to a barrio, to a slum in Caracas, with Sarria. And in Sarria, and he also Pablo, before he was into traditional music. So in Sarria, there were these kids that were playing salsa, or trying to learn how to play salsa because they were like 15, 14 years old. We're talking about Orlando Poleo, all these guys. And Pablo came there and started to teach the kids free jazz or Latin jazz, Mongo Santa Maria and that kind of stuff. So I met Pablo, and I met towards him all the percussionists that were not 15 now, were like 50 now at that moment, or more or less. And we became really, really good friends, and we started to play a lot, and I started to feel a strong connection with Latin music. Also because, man, because I was listening so much British music and stuff, but at some point I feel some strong connection in my, even in my look, in my, you see like, oh man, when I listen to, Bobby Valentino or something like that, or I don't know, man, whatever, salsa singer or whatever, you see maybe even a connection in your look or whatever, like I'm come from here,
Yes.
And also you start to, connect, like salsa is not in the 70s, wasn't salsa like it's now. This guy were really into rock as well.
Yes.
So you can see the way they dress, the way the arrangement are, are made. So it's really like you can how you say psychedelic, how you say psychedelic Latin, something like that.
Yeah, Latin so psychedelic.
You see like a way, a path, like you can bring all your, psychedelic background in some way into your even more background, which is Latin music, So that mixed together, and that's for me, that's like a, revelation or something. It's the thing I'm doing till today.
As a Venezuelan, like in the Caracas, like I could never imagine that there was a Parisian seed brought into Sarria in a point, into Sarria, barrio. And that's kind of, because I was always like feeling this, like, and I was noticing that, because I grew up in a totally different environment in Caracas, in some sort of like isolated east, more, kind of east.
Me too, man. I'm from the Cafetal,
Yeah.
But
I just never had exposure to this when I was growing up, kind of until I met Cre. It was something like that. That's why for me it was so revelatory moment, like, and I was like, wow, like, because I was always trying to find what's the voice of Venezuela in terms of contemporary music. I'm not talking about here, like our more traditional things. And every time I'm abroad, if I want to explain to somebody what has happened or what's happening in Caracas, I just go back to your record and I show it. Like, it's like, okay, look, if you want to understand, like, kind of, or Bacalao Man, I mean, if you want to understand, if you want to understand what's the sound of Caracas in modernity, I mean, what are our Radioheads? They kind of sound like this. I mean, like the visionary proposal of music towards the world. By the way, this lets me to ask you a question out of this. If salsa was like that before, how it is now? Because you're saying it's not like now. How it is now? Like, is it?
Man, it's different. It's not bad. I love to play salsa. I was playing salsa gig last Friday, man. And every time I will play that, I'm so happy, because it's so, when you play right with the right people, it's like man.
Sure.
Groovy, you're happy.
Let me reframe the question. we're growing up, and we're becoming a bit older, like not well, just moving on, like in our lives. And sometimes I look back and I start to get this feeling of like, things were not how they used to be, kind of, and I feel very frustrated about that because I was always thinking, I will remain youthful forever. Do you have a feeling like this, in terms of Latin music, like things are evolving towards somewhere more interesting, in your opinion, or less interesting? Is this something that we can talk about, or there is no useful conversation there?
Man, no, it's really useful. I would say I've listened some records that I like, okay, from today.
Yeah.
And definitely there's a really, really good bands because, it became really codified. That's the thing, okay?
Codified.
Yeah, the salsa,
Okay.
You know how to sound like Sonora Ponceña or Fania, or, you can a little bit, like the harmonies they do, you can now, make the difference and sound like,
Yeah.
So that's one thing. So, but also people are more separated nowadays, I think. So, so people listen Latin music in Europe is more even because there's the people like Europeans that like Latin music, that are really into dance course, dance class.
Yes.
And so it's a completely another vibe from, rock or pop, So the thing is, when we grow up in Caracas, like there was a venue called Mani.
Yeah.
And you can see there, Bacalao Man, people come, actors from, undergrounds, theaters and rockers, and was a little bit mixed because in Venezuela we don't have that problem that we don't have that codified even in the dance, we just dance.
Yeah.
So that helps you to to navigate and to mix, but probably in the 70s was worse. I'm pretty sure because I have books and I'm really.
When you mean worse, you mean it was even more mixed,
better,
right?
Yeah,
exactly. It's better.
Yeah, because they were even like I don't know. For example, El Pavo Frank. I'm pretty sure he was into funk and salsa. He was loving and playing with Mongo Santa Maria, and he was into Aldemaro playing Onda Nueva. So that it's like a real
like
character.
A crossover,
and Ray Perez also, you when you see the interviews, he was talking about psychedelic music in the 60s, but he plays salsa. So the thing is just really, really mixed. But probably it's now the same, just that I don't love like modern pop Latin music.
Yeah.
So there's so many musicians in Latin America that play really good, salsa and, man, I don't want to say names because it was a bit too obvious, but, pop singers that we hear in the radio in Latin America, that for me it's like, I can't stand it, So, yeah.
Which brings
I don't
me
know
to
if the big question. The answer was really.
I mean, what I get from the answer is something really interesting, which fascinates me about modernity, because it's pretty interesting how even though we have platforms to be more kind of like eclectic and united, things have become have compartmentalized into little islands, like of styles, that are big. Well, it's kind of natural because there are more communities now that you can make online, like, okay, we hear this or we hear that, which has a counter negative effect, which is that things are
absolutely counter negative, man.
And it's so fascinating that one would expect the opposite, right? Because it's like, oh, we have all this freedom and openness, but
at all, man, because that internet just show you what you. I'm scared because since like 4 years now or more. I saw in my Facebook feeds or whatever, man, just like exactly psychedelic music.
Yeah.
Like man, when I grew up, I was able to to learn about Tortoise, Radiohead, or underground stuff. That wasn't 70s, 60s stuff.
Yeah.
I was like and not only that, movies, etc. So because it was more relationships in between
Yes.
people. It's not
Yes.
like an internet show you, you know, what you click in YouTube or whatever, you know.
Exactly.
So that helps you to open and connect. As I told you, like man, the guys playing salsa in Sarria, but learning free jazz. You know, that's the only connection with somebody that give that information. No internet never will propose you
Exactly.
free jazz if you are into salsa.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. It's just like we all went into this or social media stuff like you know, blindfolded, thinking that nothing of this was going to have negative consequences, and it has very strangely isolated us instead of bringing us together. I mean, it's kind of like anti-social media in a way, like
Yes.
like what's going on. And I mean, I really don't want to sound like a grandpa, but this was for me obvious from the beginning. I remember when the Facebook wall came out. And I just remember doing this facepalm, like, oh no, man, my this is gonna be full of sushi pictures and soup, you know. and now, I mean, now we're in a moment. I don't know if you notice. I really follow American politics, and something really fucked up happened yesterday. That imagine there is a news that doesn't help the campaign of the Democrats. It's a news about Joe Biden that came out yesterday, and if this was from the New York Post, it's a big newspaper. And the news that came out, and every person who shared that link got their Twitter account banned, like, because Twitter is now acting as a redactor instead of as a space where you can just say something. So I mean, the same is happening with music. Who becomes popular, who grows, who pushes, depends on an algorithm or a payment, and we have diluted kind of this social connection that music was, in a way. I mean, I really don't want to sound like a grandpa. I'm sure that there is still this element, you know, you can find it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But damn, man, like, things are really weird now. Like, they're really weird, and they're not. They really feel some sort of like Black Mirror episode that we're living, or something, in a certain way. That I mean, there used to be this more human thing that built a like a life for you, and now this is kind of lost. I mean, I don't know what we can do. I guess that the only thing we can do to counter that is to play shows, right? Like,
and it's not possible now. Well, I have one
now.
Tomorrow. Let's see.
Do you feel like it's the first time again? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
By the way, how is, like, for a musician like you? I mean, for people who imagine to have a career in music, you're a person who only lives out of music, right? How is kind of your week, kind of like? I mean, I teach, then I do this, and I do that, like.
Yeah, that's it. I was teaching yesterday and yesterday before, and I'm free today. Tomorrow, so that's it. And you know, during the week I mostly teach. You know, but I have since 4 weeks. Every Saturday, Friday or Saturday, I have a gig. So that's lucky, man, because there's nothing happening. You know. And even I have artist residency, you know, for creating. So we create a gig for a festival here, like 3 weeks ago. It was really cool, man. And I start to rehearse the new tracks of the new album. So that's really nice.
Awesome. You know, this there is a very big part of our conversation that I wanted to go into. Which and well, before we leave this question that I started, so you kind of like teach and play shows and play session work as well sometimes, or
like a recording, you say?
Yeah.
Recording? No, that happened that much actually. No.
Yeah.
But I play with many different projects.
Awesome.
So, no, last Friday was salsa. Week before was this creation, you know.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it was Insólito Universo. So, you know, that keeps me a little bit busy. Yeah, could be more busy, but the situation is, you know, it's terrible. So
yeah. So before, again, I move on, I just want to restate for anybody who listens to this conversation who dreams to have a career in music. It's like, hey, listen, this is totally possible. Don't ever hear that from somebody that this is not a possibility in your life, because I remember when I also live out of music nowadays, and every time I went to ask somebody this question, I was like, the answer was, don't do it. And I'm always the opposite. It's like, hey, listen, man, this is very tough, you know, but
of course,
this is very tough, and but I think every creative endeavor is tough because you need to establish a contract with society, which is like, society, I want to do exactly what I want to do and you will pay me for that. And that's a pretty, like, you see, it's a very like custom solution for how to live, whereas the other option is like, society, I will do what you want me to do and I will get paid for that. And so that's a more general solution, and that's why I think not working in a creative endeavor is kind of an easier path. But if you're willing to put 10,000 hours of free work, I think that's the 10,000 hours, how many years, I don't know, but that's kind of how you get a career in something like this. I mean, just to gain that experience and and just suck that, put it like that, suck that male genitalia for a while. Like, that's how it is. Like, it's just like, you gotta just wrap it up. And so I just wanted to give this message because I really want people to be able to achieve their dreams and pursue them. And I don't like that answer of like, no, don't do this because it's too hard. I like this quote from John F. Kennedy, which is like, we didn't went to the moon because it's easy. We went to the moon because it's hard. I mean, that's precisely sometimes the point why you choose this kind of, paths. Now we're in the COVID world where things are just really difficult for musicians, especially. I mean, because something really, I'm taking here a bit the floor and speaking a bit. I will take us to another very interesting point soon. But I want to give throw a couple of ideas on the table. I'm now a curator of a bachelor's in music production, and so I've been given the tasks to put together a bachelor's in music production that is comprehensive, a 4-year course. And one of the things that I have to develop is a music styles course. It's like, and so I'm working with a course designer, is a pedagogue, and she asked me, how would you separate the history of music? And I was like, damn. Why don't you ask me to produce like the cure of cancer or something? Like, maybe that's easier. But no, my answer was kind of like, because we're talking about contemporary music, my answer was something like pre-50s, which is kind of like pre the development of recording studios, post 50s until the 90s, kind of like the era of the tape, and then kind of like 90s, and then I said post Napster, kind of like that's kind of the era that follows, Okay. And this has thrown a wrench into our lives as musicians because it seems as a blessing, it seems like something that should help us to get our message out, but it totally destroyed our income, and our revenue source. And then we are in a world in which musicians only make music out of gigs, right? I mean, basically, your income from records, I guess it's kind of negligible in your life, right? I mean, you make some money, but or how does it work for you?
I mean, it's not comparable to gigs.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man, what happened at some point. I don't know. I don't used to use Spotify.
Yeah.
At some point, okay? I'm used now. But at some point I didn't even pay attention, but I was into Spotify. And I think I was into playlists or big playlists or whatever. Man, I have like an income every month. It wasn't big, but it helped me to pay one supermarket, one shop, like you made exactly,
one food shop,
a little shop. Okay, so that helps. And with vinyls, yes, I have. It's an income when a little. It's not that big, but it's something. It's something. It's not like nothing. Because when we were into the cities, it was difficult. I have plenty of CDs still from Cray even.
Yeah.
It was difficult to sell, and we never really, the investment, we never get back that.
Yeah, sure.
So with the vinyls, is probably vinyls, and I have the help also of Olindo Records now that is more clever, way more clever than me into distribution and how to sell it.
What's that story? I mean, you signed. You kind of, I don't know if to call it signed. I mean, you may have an agreement with this record label.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Where are they from?
London, one Venezuelan actually from London, Miguel Colmenares, and I'm British, on Olivier Brunetti. And that we start to work like 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. Okay. So they released 45 from Forajidos. They released Insólito Universo, and they're releasing now Bichos today.
Man. Yeah. I cannot wait to hear it, man. When is it going to be out today?
Today it's now. It's in Spotify now. and a band camp and whatever you want.
Ah, man, that's amazing. I'm gonna have a great time after this. Look, the next part where I want to go is to Africa, because I mean, there is like, I guess something that people don't understand who have never been in a country like Venezuela or something is that, well, firstly, I remember a quote from our good friend Ernesto Marichales, which was, man, Venezuela, it's not a Latin American country, it's a Caribbean country. Which is a really clever idea, because Colombia has a part of Caribbean, but but obviously Ecuador is a Latin American country and Argentina is a Latin American country, and we're very different to them in that sense because we're a Caribbean country in a way. So where do you put Africa in this whole picture? You know, we're talking about, because there is a point in which Latin and Africa just kind of like merged, you know, and this seems to happen in cities like London and Paris kind of like how did Africa was always in your life, or is something that you met when you moved to Europe?
No, before. I'm not agree with Ernesto.
Great. Let's go with that.
Because we are Caribbean. It's obvious. We are into the Caribbean, you know? It's part of our coast. So yeah, the north part is really Caribbean, but the thing with Venezuela is that, man, is chaos. Lands, even is people can't understand that because it's a kind of small, you can say, country. We have snow, we have Amazonians, you know, with the Aborigines, with the indigenous people. We have the Caribbean.
Yeah, you're right.
So you know. Had the Guyana, the other side,
the Llanos, the plains,
you know, which is another vibe, another landscape. So we are that. You are like. And
adding to your commentary here, for example, música llanera, it's 0% Caribbean.
For example, it's 0% Caribbean. Exactly. That's it. So you know, Caribbean. I mean, the chaos of the Caribbean, we can say in our character, but we are not Caribbean. From somebody of Caracas, yes, we are so Caribbean, you know,
super Caribbean,
because we are in the north part, so we're touching that, you know. And what was the question?
We're marrying Africa and Latin America. If this happens there, or in your life, or it happens in Europe and things like that,
No. So the thing is, again, with my people of Sarria, that you can see is my school, basically.
Yeah, that's good.
I start to learn with them, you know, and going deeply into Afro-Caribbean music, salsa, you know, all traditional stuff, Mozambique, you know, bata or whatever, you know. We didn't play bata at the moment, but you know, I can remember playing, you know, cha-cha-cha, bolero, danzón, etc., you know, and mix it with crazy stuff. And we used to jam a lot. So I was into that. Not, I will say Africa at the beginning. It's just music with congas and percussion, and, you know, and after you start to, realize when the chorus says something, the people respond, you know, it's question and answer. And after, a good friend of mine who plays also with this guy Pablo Garcia, Carlos Chirino, who also helped me a lot to go to London when I used to live in London. You know, he was a sax player, and he brought to Venezuela at what point Fela Kuti greatest hits. And when I listened to Zombie the first time, I would say it changed my life. I would say that track I listen still today.
Of course.
20 years after that, or maybe, you know, more or less. And I was into Afrobeat, you know, a lot. I was into funk already. I was already into funk, Latin, you know. And when I listened to Fela, I was like, oh my God, it's so, you know, this groove is just the most amazing thing and tight thing I heard in my life, you know, and the vibe and everything.
When this happened, 20 years ago, kind of like?
Probably 2002 or something like that. So, 2003 or whatever, around there, okay? So that we start to, you know, to play a little bit of Afrobeat as well. And the thing is, I don't know how and why and where, I was getting interested into Barlovento percussion, you know? Also because I was, learning Afro-Caribbean and was like searching more and
Yeah,
more.
but Barlovento is a region of Venezuela, for those who don't know, who is pretty like black population and very like
Yeah,
African roots.
exactly. Yeah, and it's like 14 minutes from Caracas. It's really close. And so I start to, to buy in like a culepullas and stuff. And I was going back and forward to the small town called Curiepe, which is the most known small village in Barlovento. And yeah, so I start to, talking to people and everything. And one year, probably 2007 or 2006, I decide that I will study ethnomusicology and I want to, record and film the celebration of San John Baptist, yeah, which is like the saint of the Afro community.
Yeah.
So I go there like a week before the festivity, just to record and film everybody the life in the town. And when the festivities start, man, also one more time it's like a because I was always into Afro, because you always used to go to Chuao and Choroni,
Yep.
which is another part of the coast, and that music is like also I've seen for years, the Kumako stuff.
Yep.
But was another one, and because they were a little bit more isolated, this has also another. It was another music that basically is that I didn't know at the moment, and I saw the potential. I was like, that's what it's funky,
Yeah.
I started like making the connection in my brain, like, oh man, fella, whoa, and this rhythm is going.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
So that and was before London, and when I went to London first time in 2008, probably. I have lucky to that because I started to transcribe the Afrobeat stuff myself. The drums. It's really difficult because at Tony Allen he plays really like that. In small volume
Yes.
and mixed with the percussion.
Yes.
That's for me it's like the dream. So you can never grab the what he's doing.
Yes.
So was in London when I saw people playing Afrobeat, drummers, and even Tony Allen. I jammed one time with him, so in London, and I saw okay, that's what he's doing.
Damn, man, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my god, okay, that's the way, and so yeah, it's like going one step more.
But did you move to London seeking for that vibe, or I mean? What were you looking for when you moved to London? Like I understand. Like, I mean, you want to play shows and you want to expand yourself, but then you have all the world and you ended up in London. Like that was because that was one of the capitals of Afrobeat in Europe, or it just like it happens that it was easier to move there for some other reason.
Man, this is a good question. I don't know how. I used to have a girlfriend at the moment. We started to to look together to go to England, and I remember she studied in Newcastle, York, or whatever, something like that. But we separate with
sure.
weekly. Maybe I keep the idea, to that. And man, as I told you before, British music is really in my ADN, also, So when I go, and a friend of mine, Ezequiel Serrano, as well. He went to play in London one time, and he said to me, "Man, it's scary, It's so." And it was first time abroad. My life was in London, so it was like man.
It was the first time you ever left Venezuela. It was to move there.
Well, it was one week. We went one weekend probably. We played with Cray in New Mexico, which is wow. It's nowhere land.
Yeah, of course.
So second time was go to London.
Bam!
Wow. And it's like, I knew that, everybody told me, man, if you're looking for Afrobeat, that's the place. And I have the help, man, there's so many, like everything in life, coincidence. I have Carlos Chirinos, the friend I told you before, the sax player, who was teaching in SOAS, and he helped me a lot. So, I saw a possibility to go to London, so I just stuck on that.
Did you left there kind of escaping the situation, or it was just I mean, the Venezuelan situation, or was it more like a matter of expanding your musical horizon? I mean,
both.
But would you have? I mean, it's a hard question. Like, would you have liked to stay there, or it was obvious that you had to migrate? Like,
stay there where in Venezuela?
In Venezuela, I'm talking here about your profession and your ambitions as a person. You know, it's like imagine that there was no crisis, and you were like, would you have migrated or stayed?
No, I mean that since I was really a teenager, I was sure. I really want to go to Europe to see how it is. You know. Yeah. See how it is. The people that are used to listen at that moment.
Yeah.
People change. I won't say that now. Okay, 20 years after, or more than 10 years after.
But you already had the experience, right? Yeah.
I already had the experience, but also I have the fascination of now my idols. Yes, Beatles probably they're still my idols, but Son de Chuao is also my idols now. So I'm kind of frustrated. I'm here and I can't go. Take a car and go to Chuao or somebody, a town, and stay 1 week and just learn and play like crazy with these guys, and learning here kind of alone. So, or with people that, you can see here. So probably I won't say that now. But also there's the basics, how you live if you in an ideal situation where you can live and,
travel and stuff
travel and go back and forward, man. Probably I will say now I will go.
I have this thought. I'm really enthusiastic about space and space exploration and stuff like that. And when you see the whole solar system, you start realizing that, for example, Mercury in the day, it has a temperature kind of 400 degrees Celsius, and in the night, it has like a temperature of minus 400 degrees Celsius or something like that. And Venus has a temperature of like plus 800 degrees Celsius on temperature, super hot. I mean, it melts lead. And then you keep going and you see like frozen. And then you see the Earth, right? And I'm in Russia, and you see like cold. And then there is this little line, this little microscopic line think about it in the context of the solar system. Like it's impossibly small area, man, in which it's always 26, 30 degrees. And we were born there, and then we left. And I'm always like, fuck. Fuck, why, man? Like, why did we have to leave? Like, and it's a catastrophe of what humans can do, right? I mean, it's just nature on its own. It's not enough. I mean, even though it was so amazing, every time I'm here imagine, man, I live in Moscow. Like, this is super cold. It's super hostile weather, and so many times I'm like on a lift or something, and on a elevator, and somebody asks me like, "Where are you from, Venezuela? What are you doing here?" And I'm like, well, I mean, that's a long story.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a long story. Sadly, we had to leave, and I guess that this also enriched our world, and this leads me very comfortably to another thing I wanted to talk to you about. It seems like this mass migration of Venezuelans kind of enriched the world of music abroad and destroyed our music because everybody left, But do you see the effect of this? For example, before 2008, it was impossible to find arepas anywhere. And then, boom, you find arepas kind of with some regularity somewhere. Yeah. Do you feel that something similar has happened in music? Has the world of Latin music Venezuelanized a bit? Or is it too ambitious to think something like that?
No, I would like to think like that, and probably it's true. Because so many, I saw people in New York, so many friends, people that I know in New York, like they're playing drums, amazing, and all days, in the street, whatever, so they're doing concerts, spreading, Venezuelan music.
Yeah.
Luz Mira, who, was before us here in London, here in London, and Ernesto, Baldomero, there's so many. In Spain, you have Carlos Tales. I'm talking about just traditional music, no?
Yeah.
Traditional. The guys from Le Candeleros also, they got like also little touch of, traditional Venezuelan music. in the older vibe, no Afro-Venezuelan, the more cuatro stuff.
Yeah.
I have here in Paris like a enormous quantity of people that have they came here now, and they're playing, they're doing shows, they're spreading the word. So the people, even in my scale, I will say that's probably I would like that was more, but like Insólito Universo, something like that. Okay, people used to yes, cuatro and this thing is joropo. So when people start to recognizing traditional music abroad, and that's also in their case in Latin America, Mexico. You have Augusto Bracho, you have Rafa Pino, Orestes Gomez. So man, all the each people, each person, each artist with amazing personality. Like it's not each one is one vibe.
Yeah.
And that's I think it's pretty amazing. And for me, I imagine that it's like the country is living abroad.
Yes.
Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know, because I have so many years that I have been in Venezuela. What I see in social media, friends that lives there, man, the tradition is there. Some tradition that is just destroyed because that's normal with tradition as well. Probably more if the people goes away, and the situation we live, when if you don't have how to eat,
you cannot make culture really.
Exactly. That's the basic rule. And so probably Venezuela, the thing continues and will be amazing. I know so many good musicians that are there, but what brings us the diaspora is like we take advantage to the industry or the structure of this kind of countries to make concerts and let people know what is our music about.
Yeah. By the way, how do you find yourself in Paris? I mean, is this a great place to make music? Do you find it like a thriving environment? Are you frustrated somehow? Like, how do you feel?
It's not that straightforward. Probably. I have felt frustrated for so many years, I must say, but that's not that case now. Okay? So several years is better. But it's not like London. London, if I compare both cities, but it's my personal experience.
Of course.
Probably it's not the truth. London, if you know how to do something, you have the place to do it.
Yeah.
Here, you need to know somebody. You don't have to have a degree. It's so fucking. It's another mentality. Really bureaucratic, but even impersonal stuff, like in Venezuela as well, it's like that for me. Like you go to a concert and you see the CV in the description, he studied in the blah, 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 and he plays with blah, blah, blah.
It's really true that London is not like that.
Man, London is like a.
You know how to do it? Okay.
Go play and move your, make me cry, and the people, if the guy do it or the girl do it, so. Done, man.
It's funny, right? People think that English people are more like squared, but they really aren't. They are really like they took too much acid or something in a point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they're just really fluid, actually.
Yeah. It's more pragmatic some way, but how my teacher, is Orlando Poleo, because I was a moment and said, man, I will leave, and he said. Man, it was like I was already 4 or 5 years here at that moment. And he said, man, take it easy, because in France, things takes time, a lot of time. But when some people start to listen to you, this stable,
Yeah.
So listen to me. And man, it's a guy with experience, So
of course.
So and so many people tell me the same advice. So it's not only me. It's like like that, you know.
It takes
it's like takes time, a lot of
I
time.
always think about it because it's very easy to victimize oneself. Like I mean, of course, in no way is talking about you. I'm talking like as a general thing. Like it's very easy to victimize oneself. Like it's so hard for me. Oh my god! But you would do the same if you were living in your country. I mean, if you were sitting there in your country and you get this guy who you know from childhood, you know that you know for 20 years, and then you have to decide between doing something with him or doing something with a guy that you just met like a week ago. You're kind of gonna lean towards that. It's not that the places are unfair. It's just
exactly.
it's just that it's tough. In Moscow, of course, things are super different because I mean there must be like 20 guys like me here or something like, and that's it. I mean, in the sense that the migration is very different. Nobody sits down and says, "Let's move to Moscow, woohoo!" Like I mean, it's I mean some people do, but unless you have a Russian wife or something, you don't have that goal. And in my case, it was like, I mean, I landed here and there was a conveyor belt that pulled me immediately. I mean, it was like, and it was so fast. Everything opened so fast. Like, I don't know. Do you know how, like, I mean, when I landed here, I knew one person. I landed in November. I knew one person. And in April, I was already a partner in a studio. And 1 year later, I was already working with the biggest artists of the country. It was like touring the whole country. I mean, I met Roman Abramovich, played shows in London under the Stamford Bridge. I mean, it was like some crazy stuff that happened so fast because, yeah, I mean, Moscow has a deficiency of this kind of immigrants, you know, who are like educated in their area, especially in music, things like that. So actually to the point that, look, and also there is a big culture here of adoration to the foreigner because Russia was so isolated for so many years. This, of course, depends on where you're from. I mean, Russia has its prejudice because, remember, Russia used to be the Soviet Union. And when all of this broke into pieces, what happened is that all the former republics, they can live here like kind of without documents. They can just, and if you're from Kazakhstan or Mongolia or Azerbaijan or these countries that used to be in the Soviet Union, you can just move here. And the prejudice towards the immigrant is towards those guys. They are the low-tier immigrants. But to a guy like me, man, if Anya and I go to a place, I tell to Anya, you shut up, I speak. Because it would open our doors automatically just because I'm foreigner. You see what I mean? Like, it's just like, foreigner, yeah, come in, of course, yeah, help. And in that sense, I mean, it was way easier to migrate here than to migrate somewhere else. But of course, man, I mean, I have this joke that is super not appropriate. But I miss the black culture so much here that I have said, man, let's just grab a boat, you know, and sail across the whole country, across the whole world, and go to Africa and to the Caribbean and just say, hey guys, just jump in here. Anybody who wants to move to Moscow, please, because we need to build a black culture there. Because a society without a black culture, it's an empty society, man. It's so amazing. It's like, it's so incredible what happens when you remove it. It's really, really interesting. It's like, you know, it feels like you remove the floor of the world, kind of, the floor of the humanity. Yeah, because we kind of come from Africa, like all of us, and you remove the heartbeat of it. It really feels like that. It feels like a body without a heart.
Yeah, probably. Exactly. Yeah, I wonder what you mean.
Yeah. So, well, moving towards the last part of the conversation, I would like to talk a bit about your record, which is out today. So this is co-produced by Malcolm Cato, by the Heliocentrics. So what's going on there? Tell me a bit, like, we're having some beers. Dude, what's up with that record?
What to say, man?
It's called Bichos.
Bichos, exactly. Man, this is a record that I'm really happy about the result. We work a lot onto that. And was fluid the process, you know. I don't know what to say about it, man. It's so many things I will say. That I do
have a good question. When I write a record, I think about the meaning of it kind of before I write it. Like I want to write about that. Do you see where I'm going? Like how do you work in that sense? Where is the meaning in your music, or is it more like a acoustic exploration, or do you direct your songs to say something?
Again, send the question.
Sure. The question is about meaning and music. Meaning. Like, do you want your songs to say something when you write them? Do you have this idea before you write them, or they kind of tell you what they are once they are done?
Yes.
So the question is.
Yeah. So I'm not. Man, it really is. simple, uh, person probably. I don't never I just love a groove and that's it,
Sure.
So that came a groove and boom, okay, it's cool. And I have the groove and probably came from the bass, and after I start to work on the guitar or guitar part or drums, and start to, and just when it's all is finished, I an image or something that I
Yes.
would say about it, and yeah, with the image that helped me to. In that case, the first time that's way more singing in the record than the past, and yeah, that helped me to I need to write a lyrics, to have an image to write about, but as I'm not a songwriter like an Insolito, for example, the singer is
Yep.
really a songwriter. So she write the lyrics and the meaning and image and metaphors and stuff. For me, it's really like a little bit straightforward.
Yeah.
And but of course, yeah, I will say a ballad. I will call it building. Of course. Yeah, so there's always a connection between what it sounds to me
Yeah.
and the image at the end.
Sometimes, like, I mean, if you try to rationalize the process, it sounds like too sophisticated or too. And I know, I really understand that it's not like that. Sometimes things just, they kind of like
Yeah.
vibrate, and then they show you a shape, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's a shape. You're not looking for it, but you see, some writers are like, I want to write that, and then they take music to be like that. I think that both paths are really interesting.
Yeah.
So kind of the album, this is more like the muse kind of relationship. The muse kind of takes you into the ocean, and you go down there.
Yeah.
So you were writing this on your own, and then somehow Malcolm Cato got involved as well. How does it work for you to co-produce with somebody? Did he change a lot how you were approaching to the record?
No, the production of Malcolm wasn't that. I mean, how to say it right? Malcolm and I, we are friends now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So his production was the first thing was the way he recorded. We recorded at his studio in London.
Awesome.
The percussion, the rhythm section, percussion, drums, and bass. Okay. So there's already a taste in the way the way he record, and because I know him, I love the records that he produced and he made. I just feel comfortable into that. So for me, that's already a choice in production.
Yeah.
Because it's the sound, and for me, drums and bass is like and percussion is the sound already of the record.
Yeah.
Especially drums. It's like it will give you straight away a vibe of where the record is going to. And after Malcolm is always like person that is like, for me, it's like a sensei, in the martial arts. That his production is not like he's no take that out or whatever, just saying
of course
some things like you keep that, and things that really surprise you. For example, we were touring with the Helios.
Yep.
And he's really, man, it's like he's living into the 60s, He bought records obsessively. He's a digger, so people know him because of that. But he's really into, 60s stuff. Even 70s is too old,
Yeah.
So 60s, 68, 69, 61. So he's really into that, and we were talking about methods of recording, how they record the funk stuff, because he used to he met people that record those records with the Jazzman records because they were touring. It's a long story, whatever. He knows how to record, and in that way, etc. And after all that chat for years, man, and the kick when you recording that with this microphone and whatever, I told him, let's record, like a Vibra Slap. I remember that case, the Vibra Slap in Palos Maestros, in one track of the record.
Okay.
And the first thing I said to him, man, no, at all. This is 260s.
So you were 60er than the 60s guys.
So I was like, what? And no, man, let's do it. Don't do a record that, it's like the year, how you say, el eslabón perdido. How you say that?
The lost arc, kind of like
Exactly.
yeah.
Or something like
the missing link. The missing link.
The link between, the Afro-Venezuelan 70s record that, was obscure. Don't do that, do something that's more, ambiguous in some way, and that was really kind of also opened me because also I have so many influence and things that I would like to, how you say, that I was trying to do, even in Caracas with the Forajidos in Caracas, with so many different influence that was much more also modern, people that do modern stuff that are influenced by vintage stuff, like Tortoise, for example. That is completely unique word.
Yes.
For me, Tortoise is like it's not, you can say they listen to Can or crowd rock, but
but they are their own stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So for me, that's the idea, and Madlib as well. That Madlib, because he's like a sampling 60s, 70s stuff, but the way he is, made a beat after, and the collage they do, it's not from that era. It's something completely new.
Yeah.
And that was it's like a man. Yes, I need to connect to that envy that I had. I was like, okay, the record I wanted to do, and 10 years before, I'm doing now.
Awesome.
That's I feel it.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's the kind of no production like no, let's call these people and these people, because that's my production probably. I produce it really well in some. I mean, I'm thinking in all the details and edit it, and work really into that. But Malcolm is like giving some advice in that direction.
Yeah.
Really general, and that is make a difference. And also that last thing is that he, when he mix, he's a character when he mix. Okay. Yeah. That happened to me 2 times because we mixed already Insolitos also with him.
Right.
So he's not the guy that will mix, what we are telling. Already you can tell him nothing because he will forget. That's the first thing. And he won't, you can put it in a direction, because for me it's like a guy who works in another part of the brain, so just like into the feeling, and completely unorthodox, and when he and we work in distance to make it harder. So when he sent me mix, somebody's like, man, no, it's this from the scratch, It's impossible to have that and discuss. But sometimes it's like he just sent to you something like this you never thought could sound like that, And I'm a person that because I'm already also the producer of the record, I have
have a vision, right,
of how I want it to sound. This is the case, for example, in Mariposa. I wanted to sound in a way really more, dry, the drums or whatever. And just he sent me, this massive reverb delay stuff. It was like, man, what the fuck is amazing, I never listened like that, but now I can listen in another way.
Yes.
So it's and with Insolito he did something like that also, It's not always like that, but when it's like that, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Because he has a taste and a really strong personality. So that's it. Yeah.
I think that I mean, that kind of production, it's just by the presence of the person, the effect of his personality, it's printed into the record. But it also requires a special kind of songwriter too, or composer, who is willing to see beyond his own vision, and say, okay, well, thank you for that proposal. I take it. That's amazing. And that's really cool that you accepted that, because this is what makes the Venezuelan music journey. I'm really not like a patriot in the sense that this is about the world, right? It's not only about Venezuela. Like the world cares about that. This is not about Venezuela, but I mean, it kind of expands our roots from Caracas to London in a way, because I mean this person is, well, in England. I don't know exactly where he is, but he's located there.
London, yeah.
So that's pretty sweet that you guys did that. I'm extremely excited for that. I cannot wait to hear it. So, bro, I promise you, I will let you go after an hour. We have done an hour together. I know you're a busy guy. You have stuff to do. We all have stuff to do. We have kids to take care of.
Exactly.
This is an open invitation. You know, that I want guests to come back. So I'm sure that we will do this again in a point. What's up in the future? I mean, I'm asking this as a fan. I get to ask this as a fan, and I'm very happy. Can I expect music of Monsalve and Los Forajidos coming out forever? Or, I mean, do you plan to push this as long as you're alive, or who knows?
I can't think now in the new music, because I'm just
I'm not talking about the future, but yeah, the near future, but yeah, in general.
I mean, the thing is, it's my project.
Perfect.
I did it with now 4 different lineups.
That's the best, man.
So it's with me. I keep this project with me. So if I go to Moscow, probably, I will find you in the guitar and another guy, and the man do the, I start to teach you the songs. I'm becoming older. I'm becoming a pain in the ass with musicians.
Sure.
Because I have more and more clear what I wanted and what I want in the sound, but always with it's really delicate line with the openness, of working with people that inspire me, and how you say, like Malcolm, as I told you, like just propose you something completely new to you, and that's the magic of the stuff. Yeah. But I mean, for the moment, yes. Even I did a post even for the band hasn't played live for 2 years now.
Yep.
So I was like thinking maybe it's the moment I would just focus with Insolito or thing was I was my baby. My first baby was born. He was born in May.
Yeah.
We played in London in January, and Miguel from Nolindo has said, "Man, for when the Forajidos record." I had the visa till April to London, to England, and I said, "Man, let's compose this record in 1 month." Because with a baby will be so difficult.
Yeah. You did right.
A newborn is give my time, man. Actually, and I didn't know even the COVID 1 year after. So if I delayed it 1 year, I was completely fucked. And so I was like in the. That's the reason it's really funny, this record, because I did it that really more simple than the other ones. I was really invested in the composition, but really quickly, in like 2 months or 1 month and a half. I finished the tracks I wanted, and the rest came in the process.
Yeah.
So that's it, man. So what to say about the future? I really want to play. That's what I can tell you. And have new band here. That's a different band from the record. We have the same keyboard player, one of the singer. We have a new guitar player. We have the same sax, a new drummer, and the same percussionist. Long story, from the Forajidos here in Paris, but not the same that record the record. So he will be in the live shows, and so we start to rehearse in like different groups, I would say, like horns, drums, and I see everybody like how is sounding the individual. I can't wait to put everybody together and
awesome.
Rock out on the stage, man. I really looking forward to that.
Awesome, man. Like the world is looking forward to that. Like your music is really fantastic. I'm really say it from the heart. Like, thank you so much for what you do. Because I mean, there has been many cold winter nights, with minus 25, when I just get my little piece of the Caribbean in my car, and it just totally illuminates my day. And I think that's the most important thing sometimes, because it's so hard to be a musician. We forget that there is that kid there somewhere who all of a sudden pressed play and got really a better moment and a better situation thanks to you.
Man, amazing.
And that's why we do this. That's why we do this. Yeah. That's why we make music. And that's
it's just one person, just the whole world, that's amazing.
I always say, and the thing I think is a great way to close this, I have two stories that made my life in music worthwhile. I was one time played a show in La Cigarra in Caracas. It's a bar there. And so when I arrived, the guy from, in Caracas, there are usually these guys who take care of your car. I mean, in the sense that bien cuidadito, take care of your car. Like, if you don't pay him money, your car will have a problem. It's kind of like the opposite. It's like
exactly.
You pay so you don't get problems. And so the guy came to me like a guy from the streets, all mauled up, fucked up, and he was like, bien cuidadito. And I was stupid in that moment, and I told him, man, like, I'm bringing some like clients today to the bar. So you're gonna make some money with them, like, come on, like, I'm playing a show. I don't want to pay money to play a show. Like, come on. And then I was the whole show. I was like, like, fuck, like, I shouldn't have said that, man. Like, what the fuck? And when the show ended, the guy came running to me. This guy don't care about anything. He has no family, nothing. And he came running to me, and I was like, oh shit, here it comes. Like, I mean, and the guy told me, man, you will never pay parking anywhere I am, because that show was amazing. And I was like, fuck, like, I mean,
amazing. Yeah,
for me, like, if nothing else happened in my life in music, like, that moment made it worthwhile, that I could give that happiness to a person for 15 minutes who has that life, And the second thing is that the second thing that music gave me that it was worthwhile is that when I was living in London, I had my band, and my guitarist, we had a little tour booked, and my guitarist decided to move back to his country 1 week before the tour. So we were like, damn, dude, like, come on, like, we have everything planned. Like, and I told to my drummer, bro, let's go and let's play as a duo. It would be shit, but I don't want to stop this. Like, I don't care. Let's just go. And we played a show, and that night I met my wife. So, bam.
Really?
I would have canceled that show, and I would never be in Moscow, nothing. I met her in that show. And we married. I mean, my wife and I, we met on a Saturday, and we started living together on that Sunday. I mean, it was like, hi, I love you. Let's get married. So, music, thank you very much. Also, music brought me to people like you. So,
amazing, man. What a story.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, bro, I let you go. I know you have a lot of stuff to do and a family to take care of. Thank you so much for your music.
Don't worry. So it's mostly that today is the release of the record. So we are like, probably my WhatsApp, it will be like a...
Exactly.
like a, man, go post Facebook, whatever, what we need to do in these kind of days.
I'm going to put all the info down in the description of this video. But anyways, if you can tell us, like, where can we find you? What is the best place to buy your music to get it so you can get a better deal? Like, what's up? What's going on? What people need to do?
The best is Bandcamp, okay? Go to Bandcamp, buy it in Bandcamp, because if it's a Friday Bandcamp, even better, because Bandcamp doesn't charge you the fees. And then there's the money that goes straight to us, okay, to the label and me. But buy it everywhere. We're really happy with Miguel was telling me that, it's really expensive to send records to the States now. And but people is buying, man.
Awesome.
So happy to if it's 3 people or whatever, people are buying this record in, for 40 quid or for, how much. Man, that's, I hope to play you a gig for free one day. Yeah. So, okay, so that's really cool. And if not, it's in Spotify and all the, the shit around.
Awesome. Thank you very much, man. Like, I love you a lot. Bro. I hope to see you soon.
Same.
And take good care and good luck with everything. And well, I'm sure that this release will be a step to make the next one higher and higher and higher. And I remember that that famous documentary of Fela Kuti, where he's sitting down with no shirt, with a massive joint, saying, "I'm the king of African music." I'm pretty sure that we'll see a similar documentary in the future about you, man. Thank you very much for what you do. Just promise me that the joint will be huge.
Exactly, yeah. And no shirt.
And no shirt part.
Yeah.
No way, man.
Cool,
Thank
man.
you very much. Take care.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Bye. I speak to you soon. Bye.